return of the British star. It's the man known as the Miracle, Lerone Murphy, looking for his first action since UFC 267 when he beat Makwan, Amirkhani, and Lerone Murphy on 8 days' notice is going to look to welcome the LFA featherweight champ. It's Gabriel Santos. Matt, I absolutely love this fight because there's probably a ton of respect, and deservedly so, for the man who's undefeated in Lerone Murphy. You look at it, he takes on Zubair Tukhugov in his UFC debut. He has a split draw in that one because he gets mopped in the first round with the wrestling.
Does he ever?
And then he rallies as the fight goes along. But if you look at it in the wins, he beats Ricardo Hamush by knockout. He beats my guy, Douglas Silva, Andrade. People might go, Craig, why do you say that every time? Because I love that little pocket rocket. He can just do everything. And then his last time out, the knee knockout of Makwan, Amirkhani. Lerone Murphy shown in the UFC a susceptibility to getting taken down, but like Chumbawamba, the round ends, he gets back up and he just starts striking once more, and I'm really eager to see him back out there. And I listened to a couple of different interviews that Lerone Murphy did in getting ready for this fight, one with Low Kick MMA and Tim Wheaton. He's not a fan of the questions about the life story. You know, he got shot in the head a few different times, or shot in the head once and in the neck. He's got prosthetic teeth, but he did a really interesting interview with Severe MMA's own Harry Powell. So credit where credit's due. I know Sean Sheehan gets all the credit with Severe MMA, but Harry did a good job. He talked a lot, but he did a really good job with the interview. And Lerone's been away for a really long time, and he said something that I was really surprised by, because he's a Manchester top team guy, and Manchester's got a couple of different fighters on the card. I know by extension you have Mohamed Mokaev because he's out of Wigan, which is in the greater Manchester area. But for Murphy, Harry asked him, what do you make of cross-training? What do you think of training in Thailand? And Lerone said, I think it's great. I love it as a kind of a mental reset. You get to finish training, you're on the beach. You get to wake up, and you hear the beach. Like, well, I guess you hear the ocean.
I'm terrified of the ocean, so that would not appeal to me at all.
The sand doesn't make a lot of noise. But for Lerone Murphy, he likes that reset. He likes to train over there. He just doesn't necessarily like the fact that if you do your whole camp over there, maybe it takes away a little bit. He did like it, though, that you're not waking up in the cold and the rain and just the UK weather. So I found that really interesting, that he thought maybe if you do half your camp to start over there and then the rest at home, it's an interesting way to get into it. But for Murphy, he was originally supposed to be taking on Nathaniel Wood in this fight. Wood's out due to injury. Now we get Gabriel Santos, and Santos falls into the category of, I'm incredibly lucky and opportunistic in the fact that the LFA went down to Brazil with a lot of these cards, because you got to see the Bonfim brothers. Gabriel Bonfim was able to win a contest to win the welterweight title. Then he fights on Contender Series. Now he's everything as we've seen in the UFC. We also saw Gabriela Fernandez win a title with the LFA. They went down to Brazil, and then she came into the UFC and didn't look great against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Well, Gabriel Santos is one of those prospects that got that shot. He took on Marcio Barboza. He won that fight by knockout in the second round, not without withstanding a ton of adversity in that one. And his last time out as a big underdog in the tournament finale, beats Jose Delano and finishes him. And boy, did he look amazing for all of that fight. He looked really, really good in that one.
I love the offense of Santos. Like, it really is some high IQ striking. It's not a guy who's just going out there throwing bombs.
But does he switch stances? Oh, he switches stances.
Does he? Can Mookie Betts hit? You tell me. And that's the fun thing about Santos. Again, he's not just a guy like... again, we all appreciate a guy like Vanderlei Silva who goes out there, eats some bombs, and throws a lot of hooks and knocks guys out. But Santos does have a lot of speed behind his technique. And it is fun to watch because he does fight very similar from his orthodox and southpaw positions. Although a few more kicks from that orthodox position. He's a little bit more right leg dominant, I guess, with his power kicks. But I really do enjoy his boxing combinations. I like that he can throw out some feeler shots. We talk about Veronica Hardy earlier on the card. Shout out to her current husband, Dan Hardy, because he's the one who broke this down, and it just made sense to me. He's like, hey, I am a guy who, like, he has his black belt in jiu-jitsu. He is a good grappler, don't get me wrong, but he can admit that, hey, grappling's like a secondary art form to me, you know? I have to think about it, and then I can do the action. Whereas with striking, I can just kind of flow with my striking. It comes natural to me. And for Gabriel Santos, when he can flow with his striking, he's a very dominant fighter, and I'll be curious to see how aggressive a guy like Lerone Murphy is, because Murphy definitely has, I don't know if I'll say definitely, Murphy makes his power shots count more, I would say. I don't know if he's the more heavy-handed out of the two, but when he does let his hands go, when he does include the knee and the kicks into his offense, he can have a lot of success. But we had talked a little bit before we started filming. it is a little bit frustrating. Lerone Murphy, not as active as you'd like a guy who is as talented as he is.
In the interview that he did with Harry Powell, he touched on it. There was one fight that he was supposed to have in the States at Fellow because of visa issues.
No, I just mean, just in general, for a guy as talented as he is, it would be nice to see him in the octagon more often, once every 5 months, once every 6 months. But this is a great fight to bring him back on. The weird thing is, though, I feel like Lerone Murphy was gaining a lot of momentum just in the general fan appeal. They're bringing him back to a pretty difficult matchup on short notice. You bring it up only 8 days' notice to fight Gabriel Santos, who is a
Santos isn't on the short notice.
Sorry. Santos the one in short notice, but he's a dangerous fighter nonetheless. Again, he's got the hand speed, he's got the power, he can get on the inside and the outside. I just think it'll be a really curious fight because I think this is a fight where Murphy might burn the first round, kind of lose the battle to win the war, because Murphy's not a guy who's really going to wow you with his output, but I think that might actually come back to benefit him in this matchup.
So you can play MMA math with this one in a circle and it gets really weird.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Elvis Brenner fought Zubair Tukhugov in the undercard of the pay-per-view in Perth, and it was really weird because everyone and their dog, and maybe even cat that watched that fight, thought that Zubair Tukhugov won. The judges gave it to Elvis Brenner, and all of us were shocked. But Brenner beats Tukhugov. Lerone Murphy drew with Tukhugov. Gabriel Santos beat Elvis Brenner. Judges' scorecards, 28-27, 28-27, 29-28. I watched the fight again today. I don't know how they ended up with 28-27s, but he says, Vence oit? Which is 28 and then 27. So it weirded me out, and I even Google translated it to make sure I heard it correctly. But when I watch those fights, Gabriel Santos, Elvis Brenner, Santos fights a lot more out of orthodox. Santos is able to win the first round, in my opinion. He loses the second round. He gets taken down and held down a little bit. I thought he won the third round, but his cardio wasn't really on the level. His output was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, the output's the thing he struggles with.
Gabriel, his next time out, beats Elvis Silva, and Gabriel at these times, he's a future FC featherweight champ. Then he goes out there and fights Marcio Barboza over with the LFA. And in that fight, it was really weird because in the first round, quick takedown entry, he throws a spinning back kick and he whiffs. And then when he whiffs on it, it's weird because, spinning back fist, he eats a left hook and he gets dropped. And Barboza drops Santos. And then Santos is trying to kind of clear the cobwebs and get back up. He gets a legal knee.
He does.
But the referee, Osiris Maia, doesn't really see it. So out of that first round, Santos, if you called it a 10-8 for Barboza, I wouldn't be mad at all. Santos is up, he's down throughout the round, he's completely rocked. And then he comes back in the next one. He's so wobbly in his striking. He lands a spinning kick, he lands a head kick, he gets the ground and pound done. Santos looks really good, but his coming out performance was his last fight. Against Delano, Santos a big underdog. He comes out of that fight, switching his stances a lot, but mainly from southpaw, mixing his boxing combinations, going to the head when Delano's up, and then really hitting.
Did that last fight make you change your opinion of him and what his overall ceiling could be? Because it did for me. Because again, I had done the tape study. I looked through a lot of his fights. The positives were there, but the negatives were also there. But watching his last fight, not that it erases a lot of the difficulties we had seen throughout him, but it did make me have a lot more confidence in him making his debut.
And the trouble for Murphy in some of these fights, and both these guys are undefeated, so you're really nitpicking, but for Murphy in his fight against Tukhugov, he struggled to take down defense. Tukhugov was able to go 6 of 8, and then his last time out when he's taking on Amirkhani went 5 of 7, but he kind of tuckered out, and Murphy was able to land that great knee in the second round. Murphy's been kind of liable to wait, and bait, and then land some of those power shots, so his output numbers aren't the highest, but if you consider it for him, 7 big-time wins by finish, and 7 of the 11 wins are by knockout. Performance bonus over Hamosh, who was supposed to fight last week in a featherweight, but kind of kicked in around a lightweight, and the fight was canceled.
So, I just can't get over the man fought at bantamweight, and now he weighs in at almost lightweight when he's not supposed to. Come on.
Ricardo Hamosh is a big man. Matt, when it does come down to this one, short notice for Santos again on 8 days notice. You have a look at the odds for the fight, and Lerone Murphy, I know the fans tend to know him. They tend to love him. He is only a slight favorite in the fight, about a -155. Santos at a +135. We have a look at the Topology votes. Surprise to us there, to you. One guy's coming back after fighting in 2021 was the last time we saw him. Gabriel Santos was able to pick up that belt back in January. I'm going to say over under Topology voters, 70% Lerone Murphy.
I think they'll be over.
I think they're going to be over. They're over. 559 total votes, Murphy. Murphy has 88% of them. 12% have Gabriel Santos. So, Matt, the fans overwhelmingly have Lerone Murphy. He's looked like a buzzsaw in the UFC with some little exceptions.
Yeah.
Who do you have in the pick here?
I'd say I'm like 70-30 Lerone Murphy. You know, I think the Tapology votes are a little out of hand, if I'm being honest, because Santos, for as good of a striker as he is, that's going to leave the window open for him to win the fight. Again, people talk about how MMA, they have 4-ounce gloves, not 12-ounce gloves or 8-ounce gloves like there are in boxing. So anyone who has the striking acumen of a guy like Gabriel Santos is going to have a great chance to win a fight. But I have really enjoyed what I've seen out of Murphy throughout his run up until this point. But again, I say this every single time this man fights. It would just be nice to see him be a little bit more active because the skill set is definitely there. It would just be nice to see him go up against a high level of competition because I do think he is a very skilled fighter. It's just really difficult to say, oh, he could be a future top 15 fighter when we've never really seen him go in against guys like, you know, Alex Caceres, I think is a good name for him to go in.
Or Nathaniel Wood, who he's due this week.
Exactly. That would have been a phenomenal matchup, but I do have Lerone Murphy in this fight.
I'm going Gabriel Santos.
I like
and
it.
The reason is because those boxing combinations, the volume numbers, and his cardio looks like it's improved quite a bit from 2021 when he was fighting the Elvis Brenners, and he fought back-to-back Elvises, so that's really weird, but he fought Elvis Silva after that one, to what we saw over with the LFA. I think there's been a definite improvement. Now, you fought about a month and a half ago. How's he going to look? I mean, it is on short notice. You have to cut the weight. You have to travel all the way across the world, where Murphy's been getting ready out of Manchester top team, so you just have to go down the way a little bit to get to London. So I do like that well-roundedness out of Gabriel Santos, but hey, this is a tricky fight to try and offer up a pick and prediction, and Lerone Murphy is thought of in the minds of many to be that next great guy. He just needs to get that activity up. So we're split on the pick. I'm going with Santos, not going with Lerone Murphy. Please let us know what you have down below in the comment section for the fight. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.